Okay, good morning again, everybody. My name's Ed, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this morning's Mayor's Debate. We have 4 elected officials, mayors and deputy mayors from across Europe, representing cities and towns of different sizes. I'm delighted that we're joined by the deputy mayors of Krakow here in Poland, our host city for this year's Cities Forum, as well as Bologna in Italy. And we also have the mayors of Plovdiv in Bulgaria and Roman in Romania. And shortly I will introduce them up onto stage and we will get to know them and their cities. Before we do that, just to let you know that we won't be taking questions from the audience for the Mayor's Debate. We'll run through a structured set of questions, finding out about their cities, the challenges that they're facing, but what makes their cities livable places as well, how they've been able to use EU funds to support achievement of some of their objectives, and how they see the role of cities in contributing to some of the European objectives around the just transitions in terms of transition to green and digital economies and the competitiveness agenda. And finally, like we did yesterday, we'll be hearing their views on the future EU agenda for cities. So we look forward to hearing from our elected officials very shortly. Towards the end of the discussion, we will be asking you, the audience, though, for your opinion on what's the one thing that you would like to see the EU change in its support for cities. So it's important that you take the time to listen to the stories that we're hearing from the reality on the ground in cities across Europe and reflect and think about how the EU can continue to support cities as diverse as the ones that we have across Europe. So that said, and without further ado, I'd like to invite the 4 elected officials, our mayors and deputy mayors, up onto the stage. With us this morning, we have Maria Klaman, the deputy mayor of Krakow, Annalisa Boni, the deputy mayor of Bologna, Kostadin Dimitrov, the mayor of Plovdiv in Bulgaria, and Laurențiu Dan Loriano from Roman, a small municipality in Romania. Please join us on the stage. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's great to have such a diverse range of cities represented in this year's Mayor's Debate. I want to start just by getting to know you and the cities that you're representing a little bit better. So maybe I could ask you to introduce yourself and tell us shortly what makes your city a good place, a good livable place to live. And if I can start with our host city of Krakow, Maria, can you share with us what makes Krakow livable?
Dziękuję bardzo. Witam Państwa bardzo serdecznie.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you once again to Krakow. We are delighted to be able to host you here.
Lots of people will need headsets. I think we can carry on in Polish, but lots of people, including myself, will need
I can try also in English if you need.
If you feel able to, that would be
okay,
fantastic.
So,
thank you.
And so say again, I would like to welcome you here in Krakow. We are very, very happy that the city from Krakow is here. And if we say about what is the best in Krakow, I think first people. People, and that's what we try to do from long time. It is the social cohesion, and also for Krakow, for our citizens. As you probably know, and you can see this in the Krakow streets, in restaurants and institutions, we have a lot of people from different nations who lives here, not only because of the refugees from Ukraine who are very, very welcome in Krakow and also in Wrocław. We are two, and Warsaw, we are three cities where live the biggest amount of refugees from Ukraine, but also Krakow. It is many people from different countries who get here to work and to study. So for us, I think the best is that we try to and we provide the public policy Open Krakow, which the goal of it is that Krakow is for everybody, and Krakow is the inclusive city. Second one is for sure green. Our mayor, the Aleksander Miszalski, he's loving green. I can say that. Me also, because if you see, Krakow is really great city with heritage, with old buildings, with the history, but also very, very green. And third one, I think this is the public transport. For us, it is really, really important, and also a lot of UA funds here in Krakow is spending for public transport. And also because of that reason, to make Krakow more open and accessible for everyone, every habitants. And what can I say more? Because I think we have 2 minutes. It is also dialogue and participation. For us, it is something crucial that we want to be, and we are, close to our citizens. And what we do in our new politics, it is inviting people and give them more and more tools to consulting our public policy. Now we are preparing the Krakow strategy for 2020. And it will be also discussed with habitants. The mayor is also 1 a month in in different part of city to meet with people and heard what kind of needs they have and discuss what we can do for Krakow with them.
Okay, thank you very much. And most of us have hopefully had the chance to experience Krakow personally whilst we've been here at this year's Cities Forum. I haven't seen as much of the city as I would like, because I've been in this venue a lot. I didn't get the chance to go on the site visits like hopefully a lot of participants did. But I went to the cocktail and had a chance to walk across the town, and it does feel a beautiful place to live.
I have to recommend, because the old town, I think everybody knows and go first, and Kazimierz, but also really great 10 minutes, 15 minutes walk from here. It's Zakrzówek, where is the lake, yes, and green. So it's really, really, really great place.
Okay, thank you very much. Annalisa, if I can come to you now. I was actually in Bologna myself recently with an Urbact Network meeting.
Oh, you didn't tell me.
Also a fantastic place to live, I think. But please tell us, introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Bologna.
Okay. First of all, thanks everyone, the survivors of the Cities Forum, fantastic. So I'm a deputy mayor in Bologna, so one of the 8 deputy mayors. I'm in charge of climate action, international relations, European funds, and the UNESCO project that we have. We have 62 kilometers of arcades as a site that is part of the UNESCO, just to say the things I'm doing. So if you ask an average citizen if Bologna is livable, they will start screaming and swearing and saying, no, it's not livable because we have been turned upside down because of the tramways works, because of all the money that is coming from the RRF, through which we are, as I said, building 2 lines of trams, retrofitting so many public buildings, building cycle lanes, I mean, really turning the city upside down. So people are not happy at the moment, but Bologna is still a very livable city, I believe, and lovable as well for the food. No, I'm joking, for sure for the food. But for, I would say, education, access to education, childcare, basic services and important services that we've seen also on the barometer, employment level. We are the lowest unemployment, we have the lowest unemployment figures in Italy, especially women's unemployment. For sure, public transport, despite what I have said, a very high-ranked university, good level of integration and diversity, and a big cultural offer, social life, and everything. A lot of youth, 100,000 students in the city, and so on. So I think that we are in the scoreboard at the national and also European level. We've come up very high on quality of life. But it's true that transforming the city means also creating non-livable conditions for many cities, for many citizens. So that's, we have to find a balance in that.
Okay, thank you very much for that introduction to Bologna. Now if we can go to Bulgaria. We're joined by the mayor of Plovdiv, the second biggest city in Bulgaria. Kostadin, you're using an interpreter, so Kostadin will speak in Bulgarian, and with the help of someone from his team, we will have interpretation into English. So please, Kostadin, can you tell us a little bit about Plovdiv and what makes it a good and livable place to live?
Първо искам да благодаря на организаторите за прекрасното събитие и на домакините за чудесното гостоприемство.
First, I would like to thank the hosts for the wonderful event and for the organization.
Пловдив е най-старият жив град в Европа. Той е транспортен, културен, образователен, индустриален център.
Plovdiv is the oldest livable city, and it is a transport, industrial and economic hub.
Разхождайки се по неговите улици, може да се пренесеш в различни епохи и времена.
Walking by its streets, you transform yourself to different epochs.
Над 8000 години хората живеят в добро сътрудничество и през 2019, когато Пловдив бе избран за Европейска столица на културата, не случайно слоганът, лайтмотивът беше именно думата заедно, което показва и съжителството на различни етноси и религии в нашия град.
For more than 8,000 years, people were living in the area of Plovdiv in good cooperation and together. And it's not a coincidence that in 2015, when the city was awarded the European Cultural Capital, the slogan of the year that the Plovdiv was the cultural capital was together, and it shows how the people living in Plovdiv are living in cooperation and coordination there, the multi-ethnicity in Plovdiv.
В последните години изключително развита индустриална зона с над 200 предприятия, с над 80 000 служители правят Пловдив наистина желан за работа.
In the last years, there was a bigger development of the industrial zone with more than 200 companies and many workers, which makes Plovdiv a desirable place to live and work in.
Като втори образователен център в България ние разполагаме с 8 университета и над 35 000 студенти и е предпочитан за младите хора.
In Plovdiv, there are also 8 universities with more than 35,000 students, and this is also one of the reasons that Plovdiv is a desired place to live in.
Силната образователна система, богатата култура и културно-историческо наследство, възможността за работа и образование и баланса между работа и отдих правят Пловдив един от привлекателните градове и желан за живот.
The strong educational system, the rich cultural life, the possibilities to work, and the balance between work and possibilities for relaxation is also one of the reasons to make Plovdiv a desired place to live and a livable city.
Thank you very much indeed for that introduction to Plovdiv. Last but not least, Lorenzo Lioriano, the mayor of Roman. One of the topics that has come up in the Cities Forum is the importance of reflecting cities of different sizes. You represent a smaller municipality in Romania, the municipality of Roman, about 70,000 inhabitants, I think. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and Roman.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the invitation and congratulations for this high level for this event. Yes, indeed, Roman is a city in the middle of Moldovan region by Romania. Is in between two rivers, Moldova River and Siret River. Indeed, it have 70,000 peoples, and is an industry center, metallurgic industry, food industry, textile, ceramics. It have 8 high school, 12 gymnasial school, and more for the little children. Roman, it's a good city to live in because of its human scale and a strong sense of community. We combine the richness of history and tradition with modern infrastructure and sustainable urban policies. Our citizens enjoy a safe, clean, and welcoming environment where investments in public spaces, education, and healthcare are improving everyday life. Roman offers a quality of life rooted in stability, opportunity, and care for people. It's a good city, and I think must be visited.
Thank you very much, and definitely we encourage everybody to visit all of the cities represented on this morning's panel. A really interesting, as I mentioned earlier, diversity of cities, and it's great to hear the different perspectives and the realities of what makes you livable. Also, we'll come on to some of the challenges you're facing and how the EU has maybe supported you in trying to address some of those challenges. Just before we go on to the next round of questions, Maria, if you would like to carry on in Polish, please, we now have headsets. If you would like to, we can do that. I encourage, so the Deputy Mayor of Krakow will carry on in Polish. So if you could get a headset, or if people could help hand out as many headsets as possible. I'll come to the other panelists first, so that people have time to collect headsets so that they can listen in English. But we've heard what makes represented cities livable. We've heard what's really nice about them, but also the reality is that cities, as we know, are facing many challenges. Maybe if I can come to Bulgaria first, if that's okay. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you're facing at local level in Plovdiv? And if you can, I know that you've benefited from cohesion funds in different ways. It would be interesting to hear some of the stories of how you have accessed European support to try and address some of those challenges.
Всички тези предимства на Пловдив, които изброихме, невероятното му разрастване в образователна, културна сфера води до необходимостта до изграждането на нова социална и друга инфраструктура.
All these, do you hear me? Yeah. All these advantages that I have described previously in the sense of the education, culture, they lead to the need to develop further the infrastructure for these services.
От 2007 година България е член на Европейския съюз и може би това е едно от най-добрите неща, които се случи и за нашия град.
Since 2007, Bulgaria is part of the EU, and this is maybe the most important thing that has happened to our country.
Цели градски зони бяха обновени. Само през последната година открихме 2 нови археологически парка благодарение на европейската солидарност.
Whole regions in the city have been renovated, and in the last years we have launched and opened 2 archaeological sites thanks to the EU support and solidarity.
Ние не представяме да инвестираме в инфраструктура с помощта на Европа.
We are non-stoppable. We continue to invest in different kind of infrastructure thanks to the EU funding.
Но несъмнено най-запомнящото се и отличително нещо, което прави Пловдив различен, е спечелването на приза Европейска столица на културата.
But of course the most important is, and something that makes Plovdiv different is the prize that we won as European Cultural Capital.
И това, което се случи след този приз.
And what happened after that?
В момента имаме над 900 събития, които са помагани от община Пловдив.
Currently we have more than 900 events that are organized by Plovdiv municipality.
И всяка година ние устойчиво надграждаме средствата отделени за култура с 10%.
And each year we sustainably improve the investments in culture by 10%.
Според едно изследване, всяко евро инвестирано в култура се връща умножено по 4 в местната икономика.
According to a survey, each euro invested in culture returns 4 times in the different sectors.
В Пловдив имаме античен театър, римски стадион и много други сцени, но те не ни стигат за тази богата програма и в момента сме в процес на изграждане на още 2 сцени, едната с държавно финансиране, другата с европейски средства.
We have in Plovdiv an antique theater, a Rome stadium, multiple other scenes for cultural events, but they are not enough. So this is why we continue investing, and we are in process of building 2 more, one with national financing and one with EU funding.
Не изпускаме възможност никоя програма от Европейския съюз и полагаме усилия всички да бъдат реализирани и усвоени.
We never miss an opportunity to take advantage of different European programs and to continue what we have started.
Many thanks and congratulations for that diverse range of activities and making use of the available funds provided at European level to address the challenges that you're facing. And great to hear about a different type of initiative as well, the European Capital of Culture. Another part of another type of support that is provided to highlight the great work that cities are doing and profile them across Europe. If I can come to you now, Lorenzo, I know that, Lorenzo, you've prepared a video that we will shortly show. I mentioned before that you represent a smaller municipality compared to some of the others. It's also that you have, fair to say, I think you have an important role in providing services to the surrounding rural areas. And that's also an important topic I mentioned earlier in the Eurobarometer survey about understanding cities and their relationship with their surrounding rural areas. I think the video will maybe help us get a better sense of Roman. So maybe we can, we'll launch the video, we'll hear the first part of it, we'll listen to it, and then we'll cut the sound, and then maybe you can continue to tell us a little bit about exactly some of the challenges that you've been trying to address and how you've been using EU support to address some of those challenges. So if we can play the video now, please.
Welcome to Roman. a wonderful city located in the heart of Moldavian region. We invite you to discover Roman, a city that respects its history, develops the welfare for its people, and also builds for the future. In Roman, you will find a community of over 70,000 warm souls that follow their traditions. A constantly changing city, but with balanced people who enjoy everything that surrounds it. The Roman city has an active preoccupation to promote its image by organizing events that attract many volunteers. In this way, young people manage to evolve. Coolfest, the GROW program, Mușatini Association activities, or Max Blecher Festival are only a few of the events that draw to Roman the spirit of youth, culture, and enthusiasm. In terms of education, the school network in Roman includes schools of different specialities: humanities, technical, commercial, arts, sports, and religion. Roman Emergency Hospital is the most important medical unit in the city, servicing its inhabitants and neighboring areas. After the investments made in the recent years, city healthcare system now provides a wide range of medical services for diagnosis and treatment. From an investment's point of view, Roman has recently experienced a great dynamic. Roman municipality has become an important commercial hub for the Moldavian region. In 2017, Holcim Cement Terminal was opened. Roman is a central node where logistic deposits of Lidl, Profi and Somaco have developed to optimize regional distribution in the northeast of the country. In addition, there are the companies with renowned brands such as Cersanit or ArcelorMittal, and an increase in the labor market was achieved by the opening of ZF Group facility for airbags production in Roman. Companies with...
Please, yeah.
A key example is the urban regeneration of Zavoi and Jora parks, founded through the regional operational program. We transformed over 18 hectares of degraded land into vibrant public spaces, complete with pedestrian paths, playgrounds, and green infrastructure. This investment not only improved the urban environment, but also created inclusive areas for social interaction, accessible to vulnerable groups and neighboring rural residents. In special, one innovative project, we are proud of this Roman, hydroelectric power plant on the Moldova River. With over 9 million in EU funding, we became the first local authority in Romania to produce its own electricity through a micro-hydro system. This reduced our energy costs, increased local energy independence, and directly contributed to our environmental goals. It's a replicable model for sustainable energy in medium-sized cities, and we are now preparing to complement it with a solar park on a former landfill. It's about transforming environmental liabilities into clean energy assets. So, for a medium-sized city like Roman, EU support is not a luxury, it is a strategic necessity. It turns ambitious vision into real progress with measurable impact. These funds help us deliver services not only to our residents, but also to the surrounding rural population while promoting social inclusion and sustainability. However, to fully unlock this potential, we believe that simplifying access to EU funding and tailoring programs more closely to the needs of medium-sized cities would further amplify the benefits, because European growth doesn't only happen in capitals. It happens in places like Roman, where every euro invested touches real lives.
Thank you very much indeed for sharing that. Great to hear such a positive example of how EU funds can be used to develop innovative solutions on questions like sustainable energy, but also the call from the local level for more tailoring to the reality of smaller municipalities. It's a message that's come up that access needs to be simplified in some ways. So thank you for sharing that perspective from the ground. The issue about sustainable energy, Annalisa, I know that climate action, green issues around the Green Deal are very real in Bologna. They're at the height of the top of the agenda of what you're talking about. Can you share with us some of the challenges you're facing and again, how you in Bologna have been able to use EU support to address some of those?
Yes, for sure, in terms of energy, so retrofitting social housing, you know, again, with the structural cohesion policy and RRF, we are really transforming a lot of the social housing compartments in the city. This means having a spillover effect on whole, you know, areas around those, you know, blocks and everything. So that's really important, and also fighting energy poverty and poverty in general, because that's quite a huge challenge since the energy crisis. It's been very big. But for sure as well, green. We are not lucky as Krakow, who has an incredible belt, and you know, you are a green city, really. Coming from the airport is amazing, going through all this green. We have a historical center, like many historical medieval centers that, for instance, lacks in green spaces, of course, because of the, you know, density and compact of, you know, architectural design, and therefore, again, cohesion policy is helping us to fight, you know, this lack of greenery, and we are using it. We are using structural funds to increase that, to regenerate parks and gardens that were there and were not, that were used in a, you know, in a way that was not good for people. And so by doing that, we've built now education hub that we have put in this center garden park, and that's really changed the total, you know, use of this place. And so yes, we have this project called Greening Bologna, which is going hand in hand with the climate mitigation mission. So yeah, that's European funding is doing an amazing, you know, contribution. And of course, the tramways, you know, what can we ask more from the EU than paying 2 lines of trams? I mean, that's gonna change the way we live in our city. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Also a really positive example of the use of European funds on the ground. Now, hopefully everybody has had a chance to get a headset if you don't speak Polish. Because we're now delighted to pass the floor back to the Deputy Mayor of Krakow to share with us. So again, we've seen lots of wonderful things in Krakow, but no city is without its challenges. I understand air pollution has been one, but you might want to talk about others, and again, how the EU has supported you.
Thank you for that possibility that I can speak in Polish now, because it's always easier to joke in our own language a little bit. So, proszę Państwa, jeśli chodzi oczywiście o...
Ladies and gentlemen, in terms of challenges, I think they are similar to those affecting other European metropolitan areas. We have heard from the previous speakers about council housing, municipal housing. That is a challenge. Climate change is another one. And in Krakow, we have accomplished a lot. We have come a long way. Since 2012, we have been acquiring EU funds to help us to replace heating stoves that run on coal or wood. And later, thanks to our collaboration with an NGO called Alarm Smogowy, the smog alarm, thanks to our work with that NGO and other partners, we were able to develop a regulation that is valid both within the city of Krakow and in the neighboring municipalities. You might have seen that Krakow is located in a valley or a depression of sorts. So when we think about EU policies and when we think about why we need the European Union, I think part of the answer is for us to be able to help all member states to develop at an equal pace. And we won't be able to achieve that in isolation. If we want to tackle the climate crisis, we need to work all together. France or Spain in isolation will not be able to achieve that. We need to work together. And that's what we are trying to do in Krakow. In Krakow, we are also trying to focus on air quality, and we have achieved a lot. The air quality in the city has improved a lot over the last few years. I will not mention housing policies because we've been talking a lot about it on a European level. I am very happy that this has been recognized as a big problem on the level of the European Union. I think that right now in the European Commission, we have people there working in a hands-on way on that policy. Krakow is a town, is a city that attracts many tourists, and of course that leads to rising prices in the housing market. That is a problem as well. But I'd like to mention two more things. First, our city is beautiful. We have done a lot in terms of culture. We also are very proud of our cultural heritage. We have plenty of beautiful landmarks. We have vibrant institutions, cultural institutions. We have theaters. We have art galleries. There are plenty of them, but it's also related to a challenge, because since we are talking about the historic center of the city, sometimes it's difficult to adapt those spaces to the needs of people with disabilities, for example. So we would like to focus on more projects that would support them. But as the city authorities, even working with Krakow-based NGOs, it's difficult for us to acquire EU funding because places where particular activities are to be organized are not well adapted. And that's why we're working together with our region, and we're working with the committee of the regions to adapt or amend the regulations, or maybe to include in soft projects the ability to acquire funding for adapting infrastructure. And on a final note, let me also mention one more thing that I find quite relevant, which is the fact that our society is quite divided. There is huge polarization, and I think that we need to mention that. And I think that within the European Union, when we think about EU funds, well, EU funds are important. They can support infrastructural development, for example. But we also need to remember that infrastructure is not the only thing, and that you should also work on those soft issues, the social issues. And for us and for our NGOs, right now, it is a huge challenge to cope with the changes related to the change in the US administration. So, as we all know, President Trump cut funding for many humanitarian aid organizations that used to support democracy, equality, equal rights, and the fight against discrimination. And many Krakow-based organizations that are active in this area have seen their budgets cut by 60%. And here, as a city, the mayor of Krakow decided to create an assistance fund for those organizations and for those organizations and charities that work towards greater social cohesion and integration. So right now we are at a time when we hope that the governor of the province will decide to launch an intercultural integration centers network. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Maria, and thanks to all of you for sharing those examples. I think it really reinforces some of the messages that we've heard at the Cities Forum. The Director General from DG Regio on the opening ceremony reminded us that there's lots to be proud of in terms of the way that EU support is helping cities. But we've also been acknowledging that nothing's perfect. We need to make it maybe simpler for cities to access some of the funds, more tailored to the local realities, and maybe also adapted to the scale of the challenges that cities are trying to address. And I want to move on to that topic now, because I think cities, there is increasing recognition that if at European level we want to achieve objectives around the just transition to the green economy, a digital economy, if we want to achieve the objectives we have at European level around competitiveness, cities are at the forefront of that. The Draghi report highlighted that notably, the important role of cities. So I'd be interested to get your perspective from local level about how you see that role and maybe what support you would need in order to be able to fulfill these expectations that seem to be being placed on cities in terms of delivering these ambitious changes that we need to see at European level. Lorenzo, if I can come to you first, can you share your thoughts, how you see this question?
From Roman's perspective, smaller and medium-sized cities are essential players in the green and digital transition, but we often face limited resources and capacity. To be heard, we need direct channels of dialogue with EU institutions, not just through national governments. We propose stronger involvement of local leaders in shaping EU programs and more tailored consultation. After all, we are the ones implementing European policy on the ground. Our voice must be part of the solution, because in this moment is a little side.
Thank you very much. So cities need to be involved not just as the implementers of achieving these things, but designing the policies from the beginning. And that came up a lot in the stakeholders dialogue discussion yesterday. Maria, if I can come to you, how do you see this question from the perspective of Krakow, how a city like Krakow can contribute to the achieving ambitions around competitiveness and the just transition?
I agree with the mayor that for sure
you can speak in Polish if you would like to.
Yes, sorry, zapomniałam.
I do agree with the previous speaker, and I would also like to emphasize the importance of grassroots cooperation. So when we talk about the objectives and the missions and the relevance of the European Union and EU funds, we need to realize, well, that for example in Poland we are right after the presidential election.
Tego, żeby rzeczywiście fundusze i w ogóle to, co Unia Europejska projektuje dla...
And of course, the European Union designs various solutions for cities and for regions, but we really need to focus on the local level, on the level of regions, provinces, and city mayors. And that's what I'd like to say about the European Green Deal. We all remember what
przeprowadzić
happened.
troszeczkę inaczej.
I think that the
Lepiej ten
things
proces,
were
jeśli chodzi
done
o polskich rolników, o przyjęcie
should
tego
have been done differently.
zielonego-
For example, when it
zielonego
comes
ładu.
to adopting the European Green Deal and how it affected European farmers, for example. So if we really focused on municipalities and local communities first, that would be much better, let alone large metropolitan areas. But I'm just saying, I'm just talking about local regions or associations of rural municipalities. But I think that in the European Commission right now, we have a special representative that has been tasked with working directly with cities. So there is a person that is tasked with working together with cities, hand in hand. And so as mayors of smaller towns, we would also like to be consulted. We would like to have a greater impact on the shaping of EU programs, working, of course, together with the government's representative in the region. So we need to work and streamline that communication. We are meeting here in the Małopolska province, Małopolska region, which has spent the least amount of funding from EU funds amongst all the 16 Polish provinces. So I think we need to work on collaboration, cooperation, and we need to create mechanisms that would guarantee streamlined collaboration in this regard. And I think that we should never forget about the political background, in the sense that the marshal, who is the representative of the central government in the region, he can represent a different party than the mayor of the city. So you have this political divide on a national level reflected on the local level. So that might be a problem. We need a mechanism to address that.
Thank you very much indeed. I think two clear messages there around the need to involve cities, including smaller cities, in the design of the policies and the programs from the beginning. Again, reinforcing some of the messages from the stakeholders dialogue yesterday around how we deliver multi-level governance. Sorry, please.
Dodać jeszcze oczywiście.
If I may, let me also add that it's already happening. We have the Committee of the Regions as well, and within the Committee of the Regions, the mayors are also present and they participate in the work of the Committee of the Regions. And I think it's also important to send a message to local government representatives that the Committee of the Regions is the right place, is the right space that should be prioritized by the mayors of all cities and towns. We need to be there, we need to be represented there, because that's where decisions are made. And I have this feeling that, well, we focus on our residents, the residents of Krakow and Warsaw or Bologna, but we sometimes forget where the strategic decisions are taken.
Okay, thank you very much for adding that dimension in, and we'll be joined by the President of the Committee of the Regions during our closing ceremony later on today, so we look forward to hearing her perspectives also on that. Now, if I can go to Plovdiv Kostadin, please can you share from your perspective how you see this question, how you can contribute to competitiveness objectives at European level?
Аз виждам, че с Краков имаме идентични проблеми, като идентични градове, втория по големина и с толкова много археология, и като индустриални центрове. Местните власти не трябва да стоят в страни.
I see that we have many common features with Krakow as the second biggest cities in our countries, with a lot of archaeological and cultural sites, the economy. Local authorities should not be sidelined.
Ние не сме просто наблюдатели, ние сме двигатели на процесите на промяна. защото сме най-близко до гражданите, защото не само участваме активно в решаването на техните проблеми, но намираме и начин за развитие и подобряване на начина на живота.
We are not just so observers of the processes. The local authorities are the driver of change because we are closest to the citizens, because we take active participation in their everyday life, and we should work to better the conditions for them.
В тази връзка сдружаването на градовете е изключително важно. Националното сдружение на общините на Република България